For the local sports fans among us, Tony Massarotti needs no introduction. Tony, you are at the top of your profession as a sports writer, an accomplishment in any city, but especially in what may be the toughest sports city in America. You have appeared in print, online, on radio, and TV, and you have written several books, including A Tale of Two Cities and Big Papi. In 2000 and 2008, you were the Massachusetts winner of the National Sportscasters and Sports Writers Association Sports Writer of the Year Award. You joined the Boston Herald in 1989 and covered the Boston Red Sox for the paper from 1994 through 2008. During this time, you often covered the Boston Red Sox for Fox Sports New England and appeared as a guest on WHDH's Sports Extra. You also appeared on Boston's WEEI sports talk radio program, The Big Show. While with the Herald, you were known for your staunch support of former Red Sox managers Jimmy Williams and Grady Little. Yes, a controversial position after 2003. For your insight into the Theo Epstein resignation in 2005 and for initiating the news about John Lester's cancer. Your close association with the Red Sox gave you the opportunity to cover the team from a unique point of view. In September 2008, you joined the Boston Globe. In addition to writing a regular column for the paper, you are the voice and face of the Globe's online Boston.com sports feature, which covers all Boston sports. You are frank and do not hesitate to say what you think, but your love for and loyalty to Boston sports comes through loud and clear, and your insight is always interesting. You co-host a sports radio talk show, The Sports Hub, on WBZ-FM 98.5 with Michael Felger. I listen to that faithfully on the days when I get out of work before 6 o'clock, which includes days when I'm attending awards committee meetings, so that's good product placement. You also appear on the Toucher and Rich show as Naughty Massarotti. Your areas of expertise have been diverse, always centered on providing information about your beloved topics, sports, and players. And not inconsequential to most of us on the committee was the fact that you were a loyal member of the Tufts alumni and are unsparing in your willingness to come back to Tufts to share some of your experiences and knowledge. Even though that's not part of this award, it certainly helps. The Tufts University Alumni Association is proud to recognize your achievements in your profession and to present you with our Alumni Distinguished Achievement Award. Congratulations.
I have to admit that I'm a little embarrassed at the moment. You have outliers here in the world of medicine, economics, geology. I'm a talk show host. So if you have thoughts on that particular aspect of this entire night, certainly you can call 617-779-0985 on Monday afternoon. I'd be happy to take your call. I always enjoyed coming back here, and I didn't graduate all that long ago. I try to remind myself of that, 1989. And I wasn't here too long ago as a member of a panel in a journalism class that the English department was putting on. So it's always a pleasure to come back, see the Backhouse, see the Gittlemans, and thank you to all of you for having me here tonight. It's an absolute pleasure and honor. One of the things I always ask myself when I hear a resume recited, anybody's resume is, in this case, obviously mine, it didn't seem that exciting while I was going through it. And I really don't know how much credit I can take for any of that. People will come along and say, well, you work really hard, or you put yourself in a position to take advantage of the opportunity. And to me, all of those things are a reflection of who you are, and I personally believe that who you are is partially genetic, and it's partially the product you are raised in. It's a product of learning. It's a product of the environment you go to school in. And in my case, the genetic part obviously comes from my parents, who are both immigrants who came here in the 50s and built themselves an enormously successful life and didn't just put me through college, but my two sisters, both of whom who also went to Tufts, the older of which also went to Tufts Medical School. So my parents put us through 16 years of schooling without a formal education, taught us work ethic and all of those things. And I can't take credit for that, that's in me. And my older sister, Elena, was here a few years back and received this same award. Many of you may already know, she's in a wheelchair and was relegated to a wheelchair at age 9. Well, she's now one of the more accomplished physicians in the Boston area, a tremendous person, a source of inspiration for anyone that knows her and anyone that doesn't. And again, when you grow up around someone like that, you learn to persevere. It's what you're taught. My other sister, who often gets overlooked because she's in the middle. I will repeat that for the Alumni Association. She often gets overlooked. When I was going to college, one thing she always emphasized to me was, you have to do more. You're competing. You have to do more. You have to get a leg up on other people. So do internships. Write for the school paper. Write for the paper in our hometown during winter and summer breaks. I'll drive you places if you need to get there. And this goes back as far as high school, when I used to intern at the ABC affiliate in Needham, Channel 5. They didn't have a formal internship program back then. Mike Lynch used to sneak me through the loading dock door on Sundays, and I started to get an idea of how the whole operation worked. And the first time I went there, my sister drove me. So when people say, you're well prepared, I learned that from my sister. On campus here, I was able to develop some great relationships, many of whom are still friends of mine. But my professional career also was spawned at Tufts. And I was a senior living in the Hillside Apartments when John Baronian encouraged me to speak with Tim Horgan, who was then a columnist at the Boston Herald, and an accomplished one at that. Tim was class of 49, I believe, and he met me at the campus center. I brought down some things I had written for the News Tribune in our hometown, as well as some things I had written for the Tufts Daily. And I forgot that I had left some things that I didn't want Tim to see on the flip side. And so I handed him all these clips thinking, boy, I really want to impress this guy. And all of a sudden he flipped one of them over and I said, well, I didn't want you to see that one. He said, I'll be the judge of that, don't you worry. After I graduated, Tim helped me get through the door there, really. And I was hired as a part-time intern at the Herald, answering phones 2 nights a week. I still keep in touch with him. Several years ago, shortly after I left, I should tell you first, the university began giving out the Tim Horgan Award to sports writers on campus. I missed that period of time because it started just after I left. Several years ago, they invited me back on campus and gave me an honorary Tim Horgan Award. It remains one of the highlights of my life. He's been an unbelievable mentor for me. I still talk to him regularly, and our connection was born because of Tufts University. So I have a tremendous debt of gratitude to Tim and always will, and I will absolutely call him this week because I forgot to tell him I was going to be here tonight. A short time ago, someone mentioned a professor that had a profound impact on them. There was one for me that stuck out in particular. I don't think he's here tonight. I haven't seen him. Michael Ullman, who teaches out of the music department, also at the time taught what back then was English 11, advanced expository writing. And I'm not going to suggest that Michael Ullman made me into the writer I am, because that might get him some blame as much as it might get him some recognition. But he did teach me for the first time that I could love writing. And I never knew that until I got here. And I could love writing about things other than sports, which I didn't know. And every time I see him, I still feel like I just talked to him 3 days ago. He's a really engaging, gregarious person, has a tremendous personality, and was really considerate and thoughtful and giving of his time when I was here. And that is something that I will never forget. Finally, I have a tendency, and it's a really bad habit, and I'm sorry to keep you here so long. I know you've been here all night. I take on a lot at one time. My wife will vouch for this. And people will say, well, I can't believe you did this and did that at the same time and wrote a book. And the only reason that ever happens is because she does all the work. It frees me up to pursue a lot of these things, but we have 2 small boys who are 6.5 and soon to be 4. She is a wonderful mother. She is 1,000,000 times smarter than I will ever be. She is my best friend, and an absolutely perfect example of patience, support, has never once said no to me whenever I wanted to do anything. And I can't thank her enough for that, because somebody's got to take care of all the stuff that needs to be taken care of, and in this case, it's Natalie. I'll just tell you quickly on a lighter note. I was born in 1967. The Red Sox made it to Game 7 of the World Series that year and lost to the St. Louis Cardinals, who were clearly the superior team. My first son was born in 2004, and the Red Sox snapped their 86-year drought without a World Series title. My second son was born in 2007, and they won the World Series again. I regret to inform all of you, unless you're a Yankees fan, that I'm not having any more kids. So it could be a while, but it's not my fault. What happens to them from here is entirely their responsibility. Thank you for having me again. It's always a pleasure to come back. Appreciate it.